At my best friend's wedding, I bumped into my ex-husband, who had dumped me because we couldn't have kids. Normally, I just deal with it maturely, but he was drunk and did something unthinkable.
You've really packed on the pounds, huh?
He actually doused me with water. It's always been a problem, but to pull such a horrible stunt in public? As people around us gawked, my best friend came over. Lonnie, are you okay? My ex was stunned by her words. I'm Tiana, a 32-year-old married nurse. My job is demanding, but rewarding when patients thank me. Although I'm married now, I was previously married once, which makes me a divorcee. That first marriage is a painful chapter I'd rather forget. I was bad at judging men back then and even developed a mistrust for them. But let me start from the beginning of this dark chapter. I was 24 when I had an arranged meeting set up by my parents. Nursing is demanding. Managing medical supplies, patient communication, care plans, emergency drills. You can't slack off when lives are at stake. I chose this path, so no regrets, but it was exhausting. On my days off, I'd rather rest than go out, so I rarely met guys. I was okay with it, but my parents worried about me being single. So, I gave the arranged meeting a try. That's where I met Lonnie, my ex-husband. He was outgoing and chatty, which helped ease my nerves at our first meeting.
What do you enjoy doing, Tiana? I'm really into riding my motorcycle lately.
I told him. I'm into reading. I love to relax at home with a book and tea. I'm hooked on mystery novels right now, collecting a whole series. Kind of spending a lot on them, though.
I totally get it. When you're into a hobby, spending just happens.
He was fun, and a good talker. For some reason, he seemed to take a liking to me, and after he pursued me, we dated and married a year later. I had no idea then how much I'd regret marrying Lonnie. The first year seemed okay. We both worked and shared household chores. But then, he started revealing his true colors. 2 years in, we tried for a baby. He really wanted kids.
I bet our kids would be adorable. Boy or girl, I just want a bunch. Let's raise them together.
I wanted his child too, so I agreed. But after 3 years, no baby. He started getting impatient and blamed me for our childlessness. I even got tested for infertility once. The results showed nothing wrong with me. Infertility isn't just about illness. Lifestyle, stress, timing, they all matter. Maybe my demanding job and night shifts played a part. He insisted it was all on me. But I don't think it's right to just blame me for everything. It's just that there's a higher chance of me being the cause. It's not like I have been told I can never have kids. I asked him to join me for infertility treatment, but he outright refused.
There's no way I'm the problem. It has to be your infertility. You're the reason we don't have kids. This is terrible.
This made him bossy, blaming me for being infertile. So Lonnie started strutting around, blaming me, his infertile wife, for everything and doing whatever he pleased. He was a classic male chauvinist, gradually dumping all the household chores on me, while he just goofed off at home. No matter how much I asked for help, he wouldn't lift a finger. If I were a stay-at-home wife, maybe it would have been a big deal. But both of us working, and me alone doing all the chores? No way. Especially as a nurse with lots of night shifts, it was natural for the quality of housework to drop. But he would complain about every little thing.
Hey, the laundry was wrinkled. Fold it more carefully. And dinner tonight tasted bland. Are you slacking off? Make it better.
I was so fed up with his selfish remarks. I'm exhausted from work too, you know. Doing household perfectly is impossible. If you don't like how I do it, why don't you do it yourself?
Housework is a wife's job. Just shut up and listen to your husband. You should be grateful I haven't divorced a useless woman who can't even have kids.
He kept blaming me for being infertile and started to skimp on the household expenses, saying he didn't want to waste money on an infertile wife. He only contributed $335 to our monthly expenses, keeping the rest for himself. I had to dip into my salary and savings to cover the rest. Divorce crossed my mind, but it was tough to decide. My parents were so happy when I got married, I didn't want to let them down. I tried fixing things with Lonnie, but it didn't work. He despised me for being infertile, and I had grown suspicious of him. Trust was gone, and there was no way we could reconcile. His behavior worsened, and he started womanizing. He'd stay out drinking late and go out on weekends. He often came home late, reeking of woman's sweet perfume. He claimed it was for business entertainment, but I doubted it. In 2 years, I found out about 3 affairs. 2 were with bar women, and 1 was a college student who had been deceived into thinking he was single and was seriously into him. When they found out he was married, it turned into a huge mess. I'd rather not remember that drama. Naturally, my love for him faded fast. Then, when I was 30, a decisive event happened. He hurled cruel words at me.
I'm sick of an infertile hag. I'm going to marry a young girl who can have my kids.
That's how he discarded me like trash. I got some alimony based on evidence of his affairs, but it wasn't much. The woman deceived by Lonnie was one thing, but the other 2 disappeared, so I couldn't claim alimony from them. I told my parents we split due to incompatibility. It was hard seeing them upset. Post-divorce, I was down for a while. No regrets about leaving him, since I no longer loved him, but I mourned the wasted 5 years. I should have left him sooner. Why didn't I see it earlier? I was indecisive and foolish. But Glenn, my current husband, helped me through it. He'd been a friend since college, popular, caring, and kind. We'd always been close, and he'd listened to many of my troubles. He supported me through my hardest times, even after marriage. I vented to him about work, being blamed for infertility, and Lonnie's cheating. Of course, I told him first about the divorce, and he said this to me.
Sounds like he was a real jerk. I think you made the right choice, divorcing him. You've had it tough.
Absolutely. I wasted so much time. I'm so disappointed in myself for not seeing through him. I think I'll stay away from marriage for a while.
Actually, there's something I've been wanting to say. Would you consider dating me with the intention of getting married?
I was shocked by his shy confession. According to him, he'd had feelings for me since college. But he was focused on his startup and worried about failing, so he never confessed. By the time I got married, he thought he should give up, but he couldn't. Years later, when he heard my marriage was in trouble, he decided to confess if I ever got divorced. I initially turned down his confession since I'd just divorced, but he patiently and persistently showed his feelings. Gradually, I was drawn to his kindness and eventually accepted Glenn. I had told him up front that I might be infertile, but he wasn't bothered at all.
I'm not marrying you just to have kids. Let's give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just live our lives as a couple.
His words cleared the fog in my heart. Even after getting married, he treated me well, and we were living happily. So I never expected to encounter my ex-husband, Lonnie, again. One day, I received a wedding invitation from Stacy, a friend from college. Glenn was invited too, so we attended as a couple. I wore a light blue dress that he helped me pick out for the occasion. The wedding was in November, and though it was cold outside, the room was nicely warmed. There, I was shocked to see Lonnie sitting among the guests on the groom's side. Apparently, he was a co-worker of the groom. I was in high spirits for my friend's wedding, but seeing Lonnie was a downer. Time had passed since our divorce, so I was so over him. I tried to act mature and not let him bother me. The reception went smoothly, and it was almost time for the cake cutting. Glenn went to the bathroom, and I was enjoying the delicious food when suddenly a familiar voice from behind shattered the moment.
You've really packed on the pounds, huh? Isn't it hot for a fatty like you to be in here with all this heating? Let me cool you down.
Before I could grasp the meaning of his words, he had doused me with water. Water stains spread across my light blue dress. When I turned around, there was Lonnie, holding the cup that must have contained the water, grinning like a fool. His face was slightly red, probably from drinking. The crowd fell silent, and voices of condemnation rose towards Lonnie. I was more astonished than angry. I always knew he was senseless, but doing such a stupid thing in front of everyone? You're the worst. I was trying to ignore you, and you pulled this? Aren't you embarrassed to be such an idiot as an adult? He just laughed mockingly, ignoring my icy tone.
Look who's talking. An infertile pig. Bet you've been living a miserable life since I dumped you. That pretty dress doesn't suit you. It's just pathetic.
Guests were staring at him with disgusted expressions, yet he shamelessly continued mocking me. Then my best friend, Stacy, hearing the commotion, rushed over. Seeing me drenched, she turned pale. Are you okay? You're drenched. I'll get you a towel and some clothes to change into. Just wait. Don't worry about it. It'll air dry. No, waiting for it to air dry will just make you cold. Being cold is the last thing pregnant women need, you know? Lonnie, hearing this, let out a dumbfounded, huh? He had been mocking me for being infertile, but now, hearing I was pregnant, his reaction was expected. I smiled at the stunned Lonnie. I didn't gain weight. I'm pregnant. Just so you know, I got pregnant soon after remarrying my current husband. Turns out the infertility issue was yours. His face turned ashen at my words, but his misfortune didn't end there. My husband Glenn, returning from the restroom, rushed to me, glaring at Lonnie and shouted,
What did you do to my wife?
Then Lonnie, seeing Glenn's face, exclaimed in shock,
Oh my gosh, why are you here?
Turns out Lonnie's company's major client was Glenn's company. If if Glenn cut ties, Lonnie's company would face a crisis. Knowing that Glenn was my husband, Lonnie turned pale. Then Lonnie's boss and even the company president came rushing over to apologize to me.
I'm terribly sorry for our employee's inexcusable behavior.
Meanwhile, my husband angrily declared the deal was off. Hearing this, Lonnie started to desperately apologize.
I'm so sorry. Please, not the deal.
Glenn responded to his apology.
You're apologizing to the wrong person.
Then Lonnie, realizing his mistake, turned to me and apologized.
I'm extremely sorry for what happened. Please, forgive me.
I looked at him with cold eyes. Seeing him in this pathetic state didn't give me any satisfaction. Just having him in my sight was unpleasant. To avoid further annoyance, I decided to leave. Your apology is unnecessary. You're just sorry to save face, right? I have no intention of forgiving you.
Please, don't say that. I'll do whatever I can to make it up to you.
Enough. Your apologies are worthless to me. How pathetic for an adult to act so childishly. Just seeing your face makes me feel awful. Don't come near me ever again. Ignoring his repeated apologies, I left the venue with Glenn. I felt bad for Stacy, but I couldn't stand to stay there. Later, I called to apologize, but she wasn't angry and actually apologized for my discomfort. A few days later, Glenn told me what happened to Lonnie. After discussion, it was decided that his company wasn't at fault, so the business deal continued. Instead, he was transferred to a regional branch, a place where problematic or incompetent employees were sent. Being sent there, known as exile in the company, meant no chance for advancement. As for me, as long as Lonnie stayed out of my sight, it was fine. My pregnancy was going well, with only a month left until the baby's birth. Glenn always spoke to my belly, excited for our child's arrival. Being loved by my husband and blessed with a child, I felt truly happy. I wanted to cherish this life moving forward.